reporter that we stand here today. And I want to talk about why this issue is important to me. And I think we focus a lot on black women, as we should, but this is an issue that is beyond even just black women. It's an issue about black people, it's an issue about identity, and it's an issue about whether or not we get to be who we naturally are. And I was just having a conversation with Senator Cabrera about when my kids were born. And I was telling him about how when my children were born, I had issues with connecting to them because of things that happened in my past. And emotional things. But one of the things that I told him was that in the instant when they were born, they handed my son to me. And I froze. And I think I've told this before. And I froze because of some issues I had emotionally, but I also froze because I was thinking about the world I had just brought children into and the things they would have to experience. And I think a lot of people think about this only in the context of what it is to go out into the world and work and interact with people, but I think of this a little bit differently. Because I remember what it was to be a young black person and be given messages about who you are and who you can appear as. Messages that I would never want to give to my own children, but messages I think we still today have to wrestle with about giving to our children, even though we've advanced some. And so, when I was a child, I remember the smell of my sister's hair being burned. And I think about my daughter. And what do I tell her about what is acceptable? Because I tell that young lady right now who's 3 years old that she's beautiful and that she's perfect the way that she is. But I also have to wrestle with her walking out into the world. And right now she runs through life with all of the energy that she has, with all of the beauty that she has, with her hair natural. That's who she is. It's not just what sits on top of her head, it is who she is. But I want her to be able to participate in this world fully. And so even if she runs through this world with her natural hair, there will be a discussion about what it is to run through this world with her natural hair. And what she will have to learn, whether she makes the choice to run through this world with her natural hair or not, is that a part of her is not acceptable. That beautiful, energetic young lady will have to learn that a part of her is not acceptable. And my son's going to learn that too, by the way. He's going to hear people talk about his hair, his nappy hair, and he better get it under control. And he's going to see his sister wrestle with it. And if she has, as I hope she does, she maintains her natural hair, he's going to see, because see, we don't talk about all of what it is to even maintain that natural hair in whatever state we maintain it. She's going to have her wash day we don't talk about. Right? And I'm not talking about washing your hair. She's going to have her wash day where she struggles with, she wrestles with her hair. And she figures out whether she puts the moisturizer, conditioner, and the oil, or the oil and the moisturizer and the conditioner. She figures out what her scheme is, and those who understand what I'm talking about know that this is a real thing. And other people get to wake up, get in the shower, wash their hair, walk out, and be considered professional, while my daughter is going to have to struggle with that and be told it's not good enough. when there's nothing wrong with that hair because it grows naturally out of her head like that. A part of you is not good enough. A part of you is not acceptable. And I think some people probably are watching me thinking, really? What is this all about? Is this really that serious? It is serious. Because I'm going to tell you something. In this country, it has been serious enough that we've actually passed laws to outlaw black hair. Sounds crazy, right? We did it in Louisiana. Because black women had beautiful hair. So attractive that they thought it would attract white men. So they passed laws to outlaw the beautiful black hair of black women and forced them to wear these head wraps. And then they started wearing these beautiful head wraps, and they wanted to get rid of those too. And so when this bill talks about the hair, and it talks about the things that protect the hair, there's a reason for that. There's history to that. The way that we have talked about hair in this country is not just about the hair, but it is about the blackness of the people who wear the hair. The way that this has developed is anti-black. So when we say it's a part of me, it's a part of me as a black person. And it is about being against that. And sometimes we actually even forget our history because we didn't understand what the history was, and being anti-black has allowed us to obscure our own history. So when we talk about things like dreadlocks, some people go, well, we can allow for the natural hair, but those dreadlocks, right? Well, we don't recognize that those things even penetrate across different cultures. They're not just black. The Celts had dreadlocks. Germanic tribes had dreadlocks. Vikings had dreadlocks. And certainly we found dreadlocks in Kemet, ancient Egypt. Certainly we find it in India, with Shiva. We find it across cultures. But there's something about when it is attached to blackness that we have a problem with. And I know some people don't like me talking about dreadlocks. They now talk about locks, but I talk about dreadlocks for a reason, because we need to understand the history and how they connect to some things. And we might have more respect for them if we actually did. If we understood that, those who came before the people who wear what we call dreadlocks, there are cultures that have always worn locks. And some people say that Samson from the Bible wore dreadlocks, 7 of them. And that he took the same pledge that those who we talk about in the Rastafarian religion take, not to cut his hair, and that's where his strength came from. And so that there's a beautiful thing about the dreadlock, and that the warriors themselves were dreaded, and that their fear of God put the fear or dread of God into them. And we would talk about these things differently, but we don't, because we see that as something that belongs to black people. And I'm going to tell you what it does to people, because at one point when I had more hair, I thought about, because to me, seeing the way that the hair twisted and locked, I thought it was beautiful. I thought about growing that hair, letting it do that. I never did that, because I didn't think that was something you could do and do the things I wanted to do in life. And so why is this important? It is important because my daughter needs to be able to be who she naturally is. She needs to go through that wash day and figure out what her setup is and do all of the things she does with her hair and be able to be as respected as the person who gets up with their hair wet when they find themselves at work, dripping, and be considered just as professional. And we need to do something about this, because this country has also done something about these things in the past in law. We can't just look at this as, well, it's just that thing about hair. Because other parents don't need to be standing there or sitting there or holding their child or whatever the case may be, struggling with, how do I tell them that they are as beautiful as I know them to be? And then tell them that they have to make that choice, and that there's something that the world will see about you and your natural hair and say it's not good enough. And so I hope that when we vote tonight, that vote reflects that we believe that the hair that grows naturally out of a person's head is not a problem. And I've heard a lot of people around this circle tell me how beautiful my daughter is. And I hope if you believe that, the vote reflects that as well. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Winfield. Senator Cabrera, will you remark? And you will be followed by Senator McCrory.